Hey everybody, Pastor Doug here. I want to welcome you to another session of Pastor Doug's virtual VIP's midweek Bible study. And I'm really excited to join each of you this week and hope you're all doing well. I've been enjoying this new series I'm in called Unshakable, and being able to handle all the tough things that the world throws at us and staying steady. And I guess the facts are pretty clear. The world is going to throw stuff at us. There are going to be things happening. I mean, I say it all the time, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, so to speak. But, these bodies are going to fail, and we got to be prepared for that, not only for our own bodies to fail, but for the bodies of our families and the people around us, the people that we cherish so much. It's funny. I just said in my message last week about nobody wants to hear about your dreams that you have and the nightmares and everything. And I just had a really bad one last night where I dreamt that Robin got kidnapped, and it was very upsetting to me. And, it was such a relief when I woke up to find out it wasn't true. It was like 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I wake up and realize it isn't true. But then I was so upset in the dream and by the circumstance, I couldn't go to sleep. And it just made me really nervous, but it seems like it's at a stage I'm at in my life where things like that happen and my mind starts going and kind of gets out of control a little bit on things with nervousness and worry about concerns. And so you find yourself staying awake for 2 or 3 hours in the middle of the night, and then guess how you feel the next day? Not too good. You feel kind of tired. So they're a little drowsy today, but that's kind of what happens. And so as all of these things in our lives are going to happen, as challenges happen, God's not going to treat us with success until He tests us with stress. And so we're going to have that. We're going to have those pressures and those battles. I tried to make a point in Sunday's message to have everybody realize that we're either spending time with God or not with God, but we're not alone. So if our minds are not occupied and protected by God, then we're a victim to what the devil may have going on for us that day. And not only does the devil affect what happens in our own head, but he can affect the people around us. Just imagine if everybody that you saw was wearing, let's make it a purple hat that has God on their side, and let's make it a brown hat if they don't have God on their side, if they're being controlled by the devil. And so everybody that you see is identified with a purple hat for God or a brown hat for the devil. And so all these people that are walking around, maybe even in your own household, that may not be living for God and having God's influence on their life, are around you and could be affecting you. So do you think the devil's trying to build you up? Do you think he's trying to help you? Think he's trying to make you feel good and encouraged and good about life and good about yourself and how you look and how you feel? Well, of course he isn't. His method is to destroy you, to tear you down, to take you apart. And so we have to remember this, that while we're trying to maintain control of ourselves and build our lives and be the people God created us to be and be significant and successful and accomplish things in our lives, that there is a major force that's trying to prevent us from doing that. And we have to remember that then other people could possibly be manipulated if they're not believers. And this is why I say, and you wonder, say, Pastor, well, I got a lot of friends and not all my friends were believers, and you're telling me to stay away from them? Well, I'm not telling you that. What I'm telling you is remember the influence that is coming over you and how it happens. Most of the influence that we have in our lives today come from other people. Their influence, their direction, their advice, their feelings, the activities that we're involved with other people. And just understand if that person is a believer or not in judgment, not to look down on them, not to be criticizing them, but to realize that they're not operating from the same venue that you are. They're not operating from the same mindset that you are. They don't have the same influences going on that you do. In fact, if they're not operating of God, they're operating of the devil or whatever it might be, then they're going to be victims of that. And then you could also fall into that pathway. Just understand that. We just feel like, oh, well, they're just friends and we're just going to dinner. It's not going to really mean anything. But all of the thoughts, all the processes, all the conversations that go on that affect you, they go into your mind. Because remember, as believing is as we think. It determines how we feel, which then determines how we act. So being a Christian is how you think. And so if you're hearing stuff maybe that's negative or not of God or down a pathway that you really don't want to go down, I would think about it this way. If I'm having conversations with somebody, how would I feel if Jesus Christ was sitting at the table too? Would I have the same conversation? Would I be involved in that same thing? Would I be partaking of the same things? Would I act the same way? Would I be in that same environment if Jesus Christ were with me that day? It's just a way to think, folks. That's all it is. I'm not here to criticize you. I'm here to encourage you. And we've been studying the book of Daniel and the life of Daniel. And here's this young man at 15 years old making remarkable choices, handling his beliefs in a remarkable way. Just think, boy, I wish I had that kind of strength. But guess what? What has happened first is Daniel has decided how he's going to act and what he's going to do and who he's going to live for and what he's going to believe. He decided it well in advance of the challenges. It's kind of like I remember, I think I said this week. I remember when I was a youth pastor, and we'd be talking to the teenage boys and girls, and, we had to be honest with them, and I wanted to prepare them for what they were going to face. And I said, look, guys, you can't decide whether you're going to mess around with your boyfriend or girlfriend when you're up at 11 o'clock at night up on the mountain in some back road somewhere and try to make a decision then of whether you're going to mess around or not. You need to decide ahead of time. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go there. I don't want to get in that position because when I'm there, it's hard to resist. You got to make those decisions ahead of time. And it's the same thing about our lives. We're deciding who we're going to spend time with. We're deciding where we're going to go. I would ask you to do this today. Think about the list of people that are your friends and think about the activities that you do with those friends. And then you decide, is this healthy for my Christian life? Does this lead me down a pathway that I want to go? Do I grow in my faith when I'm around them? Or does it hurt me? Remember, there's no status quo with your faith. You're not just holding the same ground. You're either moving closer to God or you're moving away from God. Every day is a move closer or a move away. And so let's say we miss our relationship with God and we don't go to church for a month. Let's just say a month. We don't go for a month. We aren't attending our small group or nothing for a month. You can never, ever understand this. You never, ever get that time back. You can't make that up. You can't re-earn that blessing time. Yes, you can be blessed from the point you're on now forward, but you're never going to go back and get that time. And so, I've been really, really careful my whole life. I have always been a church attender. This always have been. I was raised that way. And we went to church every Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday, and every time the doors were open, we were there. And as a kid, it was rough. And then during the summers, part of our vacation were church camps. We would go to a camp. We'd camp actually there on the grounds, and we didn't actually camp out. We had a little cottage. My dad built a little block building. It was like a 16 by 16 square. There was nothing fancy in there, just beds and a couple of tables, and I think we had a refrigerator in there. But what was cool about it is we were there all week, and the kids, we could play. We would save our money for that week at church camp, but then every day was church, every day. And I think it was in the evenings, though, mostly, that we had church. And we had to go put on a white shirt and a tie. Imagine being a hot kid playing all day, and you're hot and sweaty and stinky. And at the end of the day, you got to get cleaned up and put on a shirt and tie. And I never understood why we had to wear long sleeves and a tie, but that's what we did. And, I asked Mom, does God really care if I wear a tie or not? Well, she said he did, so I guess he did. I don't know what he's thinking of me now. But anyway, we would go to church, and so that was a way of life. It's how we lived. And man, I wouldn't change that for the world. I wouldn't change anything about how I was raised and what my family taught me. And it's really made me the person I am today. You look at me and you may say, Doug, you're a little over the top with this religion thing. But let me tell you, I deal with a lot of people. I deal with a lot of situations and a lot of families and a lot of strife and a lot of struggles and a a lot of hurt, a lot of pain. And I just see what happens when God's not put first. I see what happens to marriages when things get sideways, when we're not just focused on the right things. When we allow life to sink in, when we allow the pleasures of life to take us away from our growth with our church and our families. Guys, you need vacations. You need to take time off. I know that. We need to do that occasionally. We need to take a couple of weeks off every year and get away. But I think we're far too lax with our church attendance. We just really maybe don't make it as big a deal as God would like it to be. I mean, if He is our Lord and Savior, if we're serving Him, then we really need to be in His house. And I didn't intend, as I started this today, to hammer you about church attendance, because I'm really not. That's not my thing. I'm not like that. I just want you to be the best you can be. I just want you to have all the blessings that God's intended for you to have. I just want you to see your life as God sees your life, and gain the blessings that are out there for you. You know this. I'll tell you again, I love you. And I tell you these things because I love you. I want you to have the best life that God's intended. I want you to have that life that has that God power in it, that brings all the blessings and all the goodness and all the mercy. I want to also thank you too. This week I mentioned in a message about the communication cards that I get or that I don't get, or how many I get, and sometimes I get 3 or 4, and I want to pray for you. Well, this week you responded really, really well, and it touched my heart to read through all the requests that you had. And I enjoy praying for you. I enjoy raising your name up to God. And I hope you can feel the blessings of the prayers that I've been offering for you. Well, listen, I'm anxious to see you this week coming up. We're going to be talking about session 5 of the Unshakable series. And I think you're really, really going to enjoy it because it gets into some neat things that I think you'll enjoy. So God bless you. I hope you have a great week. And thank you for being another part of Pastor Doug's Virtual VIP's Midweek Bible Study. God bless you.